Israeli forces have fired into Syria after a Syrian mortar shell landed near a military post in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights. It's the first exchange of fire between Israel and Syria in nearly 40 years. And Sarah Seidner is joining us now from Jerusalem. Sarah, what's going on, this back and forth between the Israelis and the Syrians along the Golan Heights?
Well, it's interesting. This is actually the fifth time that the war in Syria has spilled over into the Golan Heights. The first time just a little more than a week ago, where tanks were inside the demilitarized zone, pointing back towards Syria and firing into Syria. Those were Syrian government tanks. Then there were bullets that came over and several sets of mortars that came over. In the last 2 days, have seen a response that we have not seen before from Israel. Israel fired into Syria 2 warning shots, one on Sunday and one on Monday, because mortars had come over into the Golan Heights, one of them very close to a military post. But in speaking with the government here and in speaking with the leaders of Israel, they say that as they're watching this happen, they do not believe that Syria is actually trying to attack Israel, but that simply the war is spilling over, which is why you're seeing a more muted response from Israel. Now, I talked to Israeli President Shimon Peres about this escalation, all of these things coming over into the Golan Heights, and here's what he had to say about it.
Every other day now we're hearing different things are falling into the Golan Heights and coming in between in the demilitarized zone. What will Israel do if this war becomes part of the problem in Israel, starts to spill over more and more and affect the people?
I hope it won't happen. And I think they must understand their own limitations as well. But if it will happen, we shall defend ourselves. That's what I can say. I don't want to exaggerate and to make great declarations and bellicose interests. No, we are not interested. We understand that Syria has enough troubles of her own. And it doesn't give us, again, any pleasure. But if they will endanger our life, we shall defend ourselves.
So you heard there a very diplomatic response saying that they're going to take a very measured stance when it comes to Syria, because they really do believe that the war in Syria is out of control there, but that Israel is not the target at this point. Wolf?
So some tensions along the north, along the Golan Heights with Syria, but there are other tensions in the south, along the Gaza frontier between the Israelis and the Palestinians in Gaza, Hamas specifically. What's the latest there, Sarah?
Much more dire tensions, if you will. There have been more than 100 rockets that have come over from Gaza into Israel. People have been injured. There has been damage to homes and a lot of fear in Israel, as you might imagine. Also in Gaza, Gaza facing 30 people who were injured over the weekend, 6 people killed, 4 of them civilians. This back and forth all started, Wolf, on Thursday with the death of a 13-year-old Palestinian boy who was hit by a bullet. Witnesses said that bullet came from an Israeli soldier's Jeep. However, Israel is looking into the matter, investigating, saying that they, at this point in time, don't believe they were responsible for the shooting of that child. But since then, it has been just a tit for tat, tons and tons of rockets coming over. Israel very concerned about the escalation they're seeing in Gaza. We're just now hearing that there may be signs of a truce between Gaza and Israel, but this has really been quite a violent past couple of days. Another escalation when it comes to Gaza. What's going to happen next? No one knows. But again, Israel is saying that they will return fire if they are fired upon. Gaza saying the exact same thing. Wolf?
Sarah Seidner in Jerusalem for us. Sarah, thanks very much. This quick footnote, an Israeli national security delegation has just wrapped up talks with the president's national security advisor, Tom Donilon, over at the White House. Syria, very high on the agenda, also Iran. Coming up.